Anyways, so I'll read this and then I get to go back and see what was wrong with it and get to rewrite it before I publish it, and you all can read it on your own. So this is from Appendix B of The Builder of Worlds, or Anwas, son of Adam. This is an appendix that tells a little bit more of the backstory. And this is just about what happened in the Garden of Eden before Adam and Eve and their daughters went into the world, or the wilderness. So, the fall of Eva. Eve gave birth to 4 daughters in the garden parties. I'm sorry, parties means Eden. I will probably swap that out, but parties is an older term for Eden. So the garden parties is just what I call it, the garden paradise. Eve gave birth to 4 daughters in the garden parties. Ava, who fell, Ora, who remained, and Vina and Sola, who followed their parents into the wilderness. When Ava, the oldest, issued from the vine of Eve, a drop of blood was spilled. Now, in parties, the blood of man is not red. It is instead pure white. Yet when Ava's birth blood spilled, it splashed on a plant whose flower turned crimson, as on its stalk there grew a thorn. This thorn was the first of its kind in paradise. When Adam saw it, he broke it off and threw it into the mist beyond. Through the mist and into the wilderness, the thorn fell. When it landed, from it arose a new plant, both fragrant and beautiful. This new plant attracted 2 strangers, a watcher named Ostiel, otherwise known as an angel, Ostiel, and one more known as Adam's shadow, or Cadmon's other. I will use the word other, but you can think of it as Adam's shadow. Now, before Adam was Adam and Eve, he was just a single entity. He was the template of humanity. He had no sex. I'm just using he because I'm fucked up like that. Anyway, so Adam tried to find a partner for himself, and he went around doing various things to find a partner because he felt, even though he was whole, he still wanted somebody to share life with. And one of the things that he did before he was Adam and Eve was he built a other person. He built out of the material and out of the plants and out of the animals and out of his breath another entity. And he named this entity and then tried to share life with this entity. But this entity, once it saw the secret waters in the middle of Eden, showed its true nature and was absolutely ravenous and started to destroy paradise. So Adam Cadmon, threw the other out of Eden because the other was created out of want. It was not created out of an act of fullness. It was a hollow creation. And so it had hollowness or greed at its core, and so did not belong in the wilderness. So what happens is there's a thorn that grows in Eden. It does not belong in Eden. It's thrown out of Eden, and an angel finds it, and Adam's shadow finds it. Seeing this flower, Ostiel coveted it for his own, and hid it from the other angels, who were watching over the creation of the world. As for Adam's shadow, it took for itself the thorn, creeping with this into its hidden burrow. One day, Ava asked Eve about the lights and sounds she witnessed on the far side of the mist surrounding paradise. Eve explained, "What you have witnessed is the creation of the world." Ava wished to know more about this world, and so she went to Adam. He brought her to the plant stained by her birth and showed her the hue of its petal. He spoke, "Your mother and I are 2 sides of the same leaf. We are in fact one, yet when we face life, we have 2 surfaces. This is so we may face life fully. But see, the leaf feeds into the stalk, and the stalk produces the flower. So you too follow from us. You are the flowering of our life together." Adam's fingers traced down the stalk, resting below a flaw upon its shoot. He continued, "When you were separated from your mother, you declared your own uniqueness. This you could not help, for you must be your own person. Yet the making of such distinctions does not belong in our garden. See, upon this stalk is a scar. It is from the thorn that I removed." "And where did you put this thorn?" asked Ava. "I cast it into the place beyond here, into the wilderness." Ava asked, "And now it is part of the world?" "We will all take part in the world," spoke the father. "But for now we are to know life without the sting of the scratch, the smart of the scab, or the strain of the scar. All these things this plant has known. It bears witness to this passion in the passionate color of its crown." "I would bear witness to this myself," Ava confessed. "And you shall," said Adam, "when it is time." Later, Ava shared with her sister Ora all that Adam told her, of pain and separation and the passions that seed from them. On hearing this, Ora cried out and began to weep uncontrollably. Eve came to her and consoled her, and when Ora was calm, she complained, "I cannot bear the thought of such a life, still less the living of such a life." Eve replied, "If you fast and pray, perhaps you will be shown your path to peace." So Ora abstained from fruit and drink and waited on her worry. Growing weak, her heart was stilled and her eyes were lifted upward. She saw the tree of Adam and the vine of Eve where they merge together. There, Ora beheld a knot, veiled and too unveiling. Through this interstice came to her a gift without number, which allowed her to remain in the garden and never be subject to the passions of separation and return. Now, when I put this up and we get to do annotations on this, there's a lot of things that are packed in here, a lot of different things. I guess you guys can hopefully feel that. There's a lot of things that are packed in here. It's not just a Christian story. It's not just a Bible story. There's a lot of information packed in here. But back to Ava. Now, Ava was not given to the prayers of the center. She instead spent her days at the edge of the mist, spying on the tumult of the world's creation. And because she did not only cast her watching into the wild, but to her wish to go there, the other, or the shadow of Adam, sensed her and went to Ostiel, the angel, and spoke to him. "The jinn have related to me of the moment when the watchers learned of man." Sorry, I'm trying to replace this. "The moment that the angels learned of mankind, that a creature molded of pumice and plant and primate would be greater than each his parts, and blessed with freedom from the divine will. I have heard that, learning this, one of the angels cried out, 'How, Lord, that you would allow so low a being to defy or reify your will, to act as his own God, when there is no God but thee.' The Creator decreed, 'If man follows the guidance we have set in his heart, then he will be closest to us among all that we have created.' On hearing this, the defiant angel roused half the host of heaven with this oath, 'Then we shall tempt man and litter his path with falseness and distraction to prove there be no reality apart from the divine will.' Listen, wanting angel," continued the other, its voice silken even as its words were brackish. "I have heard that before then your kind were content to travel creation, aiding in the ordering of chaos into reality. But on learning of man, half your number turned in opposition to one being among the vast creation. And why was this? Why should beings of light take offense to a mere mortal? Is it not that the angels are covetous of man? Is it not that they covet his freedom, and so have rebelled in order to emulate it? But hear me, wanting angel, there is another aspect of man that is worthy of covet, and that be the daughters of man, the living expression of his love for life. And is it not true that this love is even more powerful and beautiful than his freedom? Tell me, angel, is it not impossible to not desire a daughter of man, who casts her want even now from Eden? Tell me, do you not wish to taste the being that is hers? The angel responded, your words thread from one meaning to the next, bringing high acts to bear low results. I see you as a serpent, lowly and sinister, even as you have no true form. Yet you covet, pressed the shadow, and not as your brethren do, not for freedom, but rather for love. Admit it, watcher. You wished to lie with the daughter of man. You wished her being to become one with yours. The watcher did not answer, but twisted the shadow beneath his heel until its mouth was filled with dust. Then the angel moved to take the thorn of Eva, yet the other pierced the angel with it and sucked greedily at the wound, tasting the angel's blood, which was not any color nor fluid, but instead pure brilliance. And so the other was consumed in a flash of light, even to the fang it had made of Eva's thorn. In this way, the shadow of Adam became like smoke and passed into the mist surrounding the garden. We're almost done here, and then we'll get back to rambly chat time. Now Eva continued to cast her wishfulness into the wilderness, and by this she led the other to her. It remained nameless, but by her expectation and the perception lent it by the angel, it was able to speak through the garden snake at her side. The world awaits you, daughter of man, and not only the world, but as well a suitor no less than a being of light. He requires only that you speak his name, and then you two may explore the world together. And what is his name? Eva asked the serpent. Ostiel, it answered. Eva cast this name into the mist, and at once the gray shroud parted before her. She could make out all the uncounted forms of the wilderness, shifting through the world's dense realization. And among the forms, indeed, there stood a being of light who showed her the passionate petal that he held. Eva stepped from the garden toward the watcher who awaited her. Once in the mist, the other, or the shadow, sought to thread his smoke throughout her, but the angel guarded Eva and spirited her into the world before the other could take root inside her senses. However, when Eva landed in the wilderness, she was unable to breathe and was overcome with pain and blindness. Ostiel found her a body that was nearly suitable to her needs. Nearly, but not fully, for the time was not yet ripe for man to live in the world. When Eva awoke in this body, her thoughts and feelings were muddled, her sight foreshortened, and her thinking greatly dimmed. She felt confusion all about her, and then the caresses of the angel, which she submitted to, for they consoled her. The angel then made lie with her, and in her womb took root beings neither human nor angelic, but an illicit mixture of the two. These beings issued from Eva and caused imbalance to come into the world until Ostiel was called into account and was made to bring Eva and her children to the foot of the world, trapping them in the ice there. Eve felt great sorrow then, as did Adam, for neither could return their daughter from the wilderness, for Eva had chosen to be apart from paradise. Yet, in an ecstatic moment, two more daughters came to be, Vina and Sola, who ushered to the orchard a season of sweetness and a season of bounty in turn. That's a little fairy tale or myth. I know it's probably got way too much religious language for most people, but you guys can interpret that however you want. Whether as religious or as not religious, that's up to you. I think it has more than a religious meaning, but that's just me. And what the fuck do I know? I just wrote it. Seriously, I mean that seriously. I don't know what it means. I just wrote it.